So to access the query builder, we're going to go over to the contacts tab. And then the very second option in the dropdown is our query builder. And here you can see the birthday campaign that we used in the last demo we had together. We also have some other examples and templates for different queries you can build, kind of the most often queries you might use. But again, so we're going to work on setting up a group that can be a trigger for an automated campaign for an onboarding sequence for new employees. So like many things in the marketing world, there are many different ways that you can go about doing this. And you really just want to look for the ways that best work for your company, for your contacts, your marketing team, finding the solution that makes the most sense to you, because that might not be a one-size-fits-all approach. So I'm actually going to show you a couple of different ways that we could go about creating this dynamic group. So the very first thing is we chose to make a dynamic group because we don't want to manually have to add people into this group to start the workflow. The ideal solution in this case is to have someone be entered into this workflow as soon as they are added to the platform as a new employee. So to do that, the very first thing we did was add date added. And then we said date added is equal to, and here you can choose a specific date or a calculated date. So a specific date will be fixed. That specific date will be the same no matter how much time passes. So if I want to choose today, it would be March 23rd, 2023. However, this dynamic group would only ever have people that were added to the platform on March 23rd, 2023. That's not what I want, because I want anyone who is added to the platform in the future to automatically be added to this group. So I'm going to switch to calculated date. And here you can select current date, date suppressed, date modified, date held, date of birth, last activity dates, but we're going to do current date. And now we can add or subtract days. So if I wanted to say anyone who was added in the past 2 days, I want them to be added to this group, or anyone who was added in the next 2 days be added to this group, but I'm going to go with the current date. So right now we're going to have everyone in this group was added on the current date. Now we're going to add additional criteria, because obviously we don't want to send this to any contact that is added. We only want this to send to new employees. So the next thing we're going to do is choose domain. This ended up being kind of the best solution for the client I was working with, because all of their new employees have their custom domain in their work email address. So we can do domain equal to, and in our case, it would be Emfluence.com. And then we can hit search. We're not going to have anyone come up right now, but now everyone in this group was added on the current day, and their domain is equal to the work domain that we want to use. So this is just one way to set up this dynamic group. And now we would hit save as dynamic group. We could name it. We can choose to have visibility. So this actually doesn't work with dynamic groups, but if you're creating a static group, you could say, when someone goes to update their preferences page, if you want that group to be visible, you would make it public. Otherwise, you would make that private. If you send out email proofs to multiple people, you might want to create a testing group. This testing group will mean that anytime you send out an email proof, you can automatically have it send to a certain number of people rather than sending individual proofs to every single person that needs to receive them. And then a protected group. This means that cannot be archived or deleted. And if you want to do something like an ongoing onboarding campaign, it's probably best that you do make that group protected. Otherwise, if it actually accidentally gets deleted, suddenly your onboarding campaign could break and you might not even know it. So we would go ahead and save this group. But like I mentioned, there are many different ways that you can do one thing. So this was what worked best for this client, but maybe they wanted to add a fallback. So maybe they wanted to say, add everyone to this dynamic group if the date is equal to the current date and their domain is equal to the work domain. Or maybe they wanted to have a fallback. So what we could do is create this in nested criteria. And we can make that one option. So date was added, it's equal to current date. And the domain is equal to emfluence.com. So we're keeping that option, but maybe we want to have a fallback. If you work with contractors or someone who might not necessarily get your branded domain, but you still want to receive this onboarding campaign and you want to be able to manually add someone to this campaign as well, we can also do that. So as you can see, the parentheses around, this is one option of how someone would be added to this group, but then we can also add an or. And then maybe we'd created a group that was specifically for anyone that did not have a branded domain, but we wanted to receive this onboarding campaign. Then we could just select is a member of a group. And, maybe the group's name is onboarding campaign. Then all we would have to do is save. And then we would have a dynamic group of anyone that matched either of these criteria. So as I mentioned, there are just a handful of ways that you can go about doing this. Another way that you might want to think about doing this is maybe for all of your new employees, you have a custom field for when you are creating their contact record. And maybe that custom field is a hire date. So then you could say, if custom field is today, the hire date, add them to this dynamic group, and that would automatically trigger this onboarding campaign as well. So this is just one example of a real world scenario in which you might have to use the query builder.